Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Annalisa and today I'm doing the VeggieTales book tag by Chapter Kate. I really loved VeggieTales as a kid and it's very nostalgic for me now. So when Chapter Kate came out with this tag, I was very excited to do it. She will be linked below, and if you want to see the songs performed correctly by the animated characters, then you can tootle over to her video. I will be doing covers of the first little bits of each of the songs because I can. Here we have my video planning book journal thing. This tag is focusing on the songs, specifically Silly Songs with Larry from the VeggieTales series, with a prompt for each song. So the first song is Water Buffalo. Everybody's got a water buffalo, yours is fat but mine is slow. Where do they get them? I don't know, but everybody's got a water buffalo. Woo! And the prompt for that is, what is a book that everyone else loves but you have not read? And for that I picked several of them because there are several of them. There are just several books that a lot of people like, but the actual things they describe about them are like, I'm gonna pass on that. One of those is A Fault in Our Stars, which of course everyone knows is very sad, so not for me. To All the Boys I've Loved Before. I don't have a particular aversion to it except it's not fantasy, but I might eventually actually read that one. And then The Cruel Prince and the rest of that series, because while it's fantasy and fae, which I'm very interested in, too unhappy 5 me. Then we have the Hairbrush song, and this is one that I did not have to look up because I know it very well because I sing it every time I lose my hairbrush, which is very often. Oh, where is my hairbrush? Oh, where is my hairbrush? Oh, where is my hairbrush? You'll notice I had to change keys during the middle of that because my range is not very big. But anyway, the prompt for this is a book that you love but that no one else talks about. And there are a lot of these because I kind of heavily focus on middle grade and there aren't many other channels that do, but I found a few recently which I'll link below because they rec middle grade books and have been a really good source of those for me. This row here is the Fairyland series by Catherine M. Valente, and her more recent publication, Space Opera, has gotten some more attention. But not many people in the circles that I've been able to find talk about the Fairyland series. It's middle grade and it is about a girl who goes to Fairyland. If you're familiar with the Fairyland book that is about a little girl who gets taken off to Fairyland but then gets stuck there and she's like in her 30s but frozen in the body of a child, it's that reminds me very much of this series. And actually there's a character in this series who is kind of along those lines. But the main character is a girl who gets taken off to Fairyland and has the adventure that she's supposed to. It's a very fun and interesting and creative adventure that I enjoy a lot. I did some fan art for it a while ago, some of the interesting creatures, which I'll pop up on screen. It was very enjoyable and also made my heart have lots of very strong feelings. Another one, of course, is the Deltora series, which I talk about all the time. Then we have His Cheeseburger. You are his cheeseburger, his tasty cheeseburger. He'll wait for you, oh, he'll wait for you, 'cause you are his cheeseburger, his tasty cheeseburger. Which is about a vegetable who had to wait till morning to get his drive-through cheeseburger. And thus the prompt is, what is a book that you are excited for but have not yet read? And for that I picked Spinning Silver because it is sort of in the same set as Uprooted, which is over there in the middle, the yellow one, which I loved. And it's not a sequel. It's not about the same characters, but it's another fantasy retelling of the same sort of flavor. And so I'm very excited for that. Both of them are by Naomi Novik. Next we have Dance of the Cucumber. Mare del Pepino. That's all of it I know because he sings too fast for me to get the rest of it. But it means watch the cucumber. This is a VeggieTales song that is in Spanish and we have Bob the Tomato translating for us. And so the prompt is a translated book. Also, I'm paraphrasing these prompts because I wrote these down in shorthand like 2 or 3 months ago. So if you want to see the better worded version of the prompts, also go over to Chapter Kate's video. But anyway, I don't read a lot of translated fiction. I would like to read more of it, but the main types of translated books that I read are manga. So what I've recently been reading manga-wise is the Kamisama Kiss series, which I've talked about quite extensively in some of my Monsterthon videos, and I've continued reading that series since then. It's quite a long series. I'm on number 20 now, although of course they are quick reads because they're about 200 pages each of mostly pictures. I've also read a few other translated mangas, but not nearly as many like together in a row that I understand the story. Next we have I Love My Lips. If my lips ever left my mouth, packed a bag and headed south, that'd be too bad. I'd be so sad. Which is a song all about Larry being obsessed with his lips. And the prompt for this is to tell us about a book that you talked about in 5 videos or more, which of course I could bring up the Deltora series, but there is another series that I bring up a lot in tags, and that would be the In Death series by J.D. Robb. This is because it's a really good series, and it's got so many different facets of things that I love. It's got really awesome female main character. It's got a really awesome relationship between her and her partner because she is a murder cop, and she's got a great relationship with her husband, and she's got lots and lots of found family relationships. And the author, who is also Nora Roberts, is just freaking amazing. She's had a lot of experience, and she churns out this particular series twice a year, and she also keeps writing romances in between those. She's very skilled. Her descriptions are tight and vivid, and her characterization is amazing, and she gives me all the feels, but in a more relaxed kind of way where I can read it when I feel sad and feel better. It's good in a lot of different ways, so it fits a lot of different prompts. Then we have Barbara, Manatee, 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 you are the one for me, one for me, one for me, sent from up above, up above, up above, you are the one I love. And the prompt for that is a weird book that you like. And for that I have to pick space opera, which I already brought up. It's a very weird book. It's a space opera in that it takes place partially in space, but it's also one of those where you have 2 different timelines going on. You have a past timeline and a present timeline, and you kind of figure out how people came to be in the present timeline by gradually going through the past timeline. And one thing about Catherine Valente, as she also wrote the Fairyland series, is she is extremely creative and comes up with super wacky stuff, which she definitely felt free to do in this sci-fi. The aliens are very, very, very weird. I did a standalone review on this, which I'll link below, but it was weird, both plot-wise and everything in it wise. Had very weird characters too. Had one kind of normal character. Everybody else was very weird. Then we have the Pirates Who Don't Do Anything song, which goes, we are the pirates who don't do anything. We just stay at home and lie around. And if you ask us to do anything, we'll just tell you we don't do anything. And the prompt for that song is a book that went differently than you expected. And for that I'll bring up Language of Thorns again, which is another one that I talk about a lot. And that's because it's really, really good. And also fits a lot of prompts. It is Leigh Bardugo retelling in short story form 5, I think, different fairy tales and giving them very different endings / very different takes on them than the usual retelling. Then we have I'm so blue, 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 I'm so blue I don't know what to do, sung by Madame Blueberry, who is a great character. And this is a book that makes you emotional, and for this I kind of have to answer all of them. I'm an empath, which is just a way of saying that you're one of a lot of people who feel your emotions way too strongly. Specifically, you empathize with people stronger than is necessarily healthy, which means whatever the characters in my books are feeling, I feel generally. There are, of course, ones that make me feel stronger than others. Some of those are the Fairyland series. Sometimes the Deltora series, because that gives me a lot of nostalgia, and also, but they are generally very positive feelings. Another one would be Bitter Blue, which is on the bottom of the Deltora books over there, and it more makes me feel blue because a lot of really sad things happen and are talked about in that book. One book that I've noticed in a good way doesn't make me feel too strong feelings lately is A Turn of Light, which is behind my head, and the sequel to it, which I've just returned to the library, which is A Play of Shadow, which are very long books, but the characters in them, despite having some emotional outbursts and having lots of things to be emotional about, tend to be very good at self-regulating their emotions, and so they calm down fairly quickly, and that helps me not to feel their negative feelings too strongly. And they generally have a very positive outlook, and that just, and a way of focusing on the positives, and that just makes it a much happier read for me, and something that, as Chapter Kate has actually been talking about in some of her recent videos about reading for self-care, those books work better for self-care for me because they don't make me feel very strong feelings. I can kind of relax and feel less, which is a good thing for me. And now the Stuff Mart wrap, which starts, "If you want a big hat, we got that. If you need a tube of glue, we got that too," and goes on to describe all the stuff that Stuff Mart has, and is basically about how Madame Blueberry, who was so blue, can solve her blueness by buying stuff, which, you know, I've used some retail therapy myself, and it definitely gives a little buzz. And the prompt for that is your book buying weakness, and for that one is, if it's really cheap, I do like inexpensive things. Hence the book haul that I'm going to film after this, which came from my library's sale, and the books at those sales are between 25 cents and $1. But another thing is a pretty cover, like books like Uprooted, and Stalking Jack the Ripper is one that I bought for the cover and the description. If the cover and the description both speak to me, I'm like, I have to powerfully tell myself no. But another one that I bought full price, which I don't normally do, was The Witch Doesn't Burn in This One, which is a poetry collection, and I'm not usually into poetry, but the concept was a woman writing out her anger at sexism, and thus I was caught right then. And the title, the way it was phrased, and also that the print inside is red on white, definitely grabbed me, and had to have that. So that was the Veggie Tales tag. It came out a few months ago, so I don't remember who did it at the time, but I don't remember seeing several of my bookish friends doing it. So, but I will start with Kelsey Reads, Me, Simone, and I, A Cup of Books, and Ghost Reader. As per usual, no pressure if this isn't your thing. Also, you don't have to sing the songs. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!